First of all, thanks for the invitation to talk about skeptical science in this very interesting conference. I'll talk a bit about the background of the website, but the main focus is giving facts a fighting chance against climate, but also other misinformation. My name is Bärbel Winkler, and I've been helping with skeptical science since 2010. So I'll talk a bit about the history of skeptical science, what we do, and then what we have to offer, materials that you can use in whatever activities you are involved with. And the presentation is link heavy, so when you get the upload, you will be able to jump to a lot of additional information that I'm not going to talk about due to time constraints. So a brief introduction to our website. It's an international website and also a non-profit science education organization. Skeptical Science was founded by John Cook in 2007, and we debunk misconceptions and misinformation about human-caused climate change. And for that, the website features a database with more than 200 rebuttals based on peer-reviewed literature. We are a team project and have volunteers around the globe. We also actively contribute to published research. So as I mentioned, Skeptical Science was founded in 2007 when John Cook published his rebuttal database sometime in July. And for the first 2 or 3 years, he was basically the sole maintainer of the website. And this changed in 2010 when a project required a lot more hands to help with the task, because the rebuttals had initially just existed in one level, which was fairly complex and sciencey. So the suggestion had been made to create more easy basic level rebuttals as well as more advanced. And through a help or call for help, the author team formed. It was also the year that I joined Skeptical Science, mostly to begin with to work on translations into German. So the following year was one of the most productive, with a lot of blog posts, a lot of rebuttals written, updated, whatever. And a lot of functionality was also added behind the scenes to the website. In 2013, led by John Cook, we published a study finding a 97% consensus about human-caused climate change. And we did several campaigns around that topic as well. And it's still one of the focuses of the website. In 2015, in collaboration with the University of Queensland, we launched the MOOC, the Massive Open Online Course, Denial 101X, Making Sense of Climate Science Denial. And the MOOC is still ongoing. We are now running it in a self-paced mode, basically each year. In 2016, we were honored to receive the Friends of the Planet Award from the National Center of Science Education in the United States. And it was also the year that about a dozen from our team managed to meet in San Francisco during the American Geophysical Union's fall meeting, which was obviously great after working together with people online. 2017 saw our 10th birthday, and a couple of years later, more debunking resources were added with some published handbooks, but I'll talk about those later. In 2021, the CRANKY Uncle game was launched, and I'll talk about the game as well on a later slide. And the game initially was created in English, but by now CRANKY Uncle speaks 8 languages and 2 more are soon going to be launched. So as I mentioned at the beginning, the rebuttals are the backbone of skeptical science, and they tackle common misconceptions about global warming, such as it's not happening, it's not us, it's not bad, and it's too hard. And we have for most of them explanations in basic, intermediate, and advanced versions, and they reference the peer-reviewed primary research. And some of the rebuttals are regularly viewed, some more than 10,000 times per month. So we do have some challenges because skeptical science and the content of the website is mostly maintained by volunteers. So it's not always easy to find helping hands for specific time-consuming and sometimes even rather mundane tasks, like something that we all like to do, fixing broken links, and also to keep the published materials current. And most of the rebuttals were initially created between 2007 and 2010. And for many of them, the content hadn't been properly updated for more than 5 years. So they, for example, still reference AR4 or 5 graphics from the IPCC reports. And this adds up to a rather big issue with our rebuttals database, because if you want to counter climate myths and misinformation, the information that we provide should be as current as possible. And because of that, late last year into this year, we launched a rebuttal updates project, because we did get questions, not regularly, but sometimes, whether the stuff is still being updated. And on the other hand, skeptical science is often cited as the go-to resource when myths about climate change need to be debunked. So we created a bit of a factory and assembly line, checked which rebuttals should be updated first, and also noticed that even the basic level definitions or writings were often a bit too sciencey, so that they were not necessarily easy to digest for people who hadn't been involved with science a lot or at all. So one thing that we added was an at-a-glance section that is visibly set apart. It doesn't have links, it doesn't have images, to not distract from the usually under 500 words summary of what the issue with a given myth is, so that as many people as possible who get to the rebuttal are able to understand it. And then there's additional details that gets more technical in the further detailed sections of the basic level rebuttal, and also in the intermediate and possibly existing advanced version. How long the at-a-glance section varied by topic. So some are long because it's a fairly technical concept that needs to be explained. And the other thing that we have on skeptical science are a lot of translations. Blog posts can be translated since 2009, as well as rebuttals. And for just about 40 rebuttals that we have currently in the pipeline, or which have already been updated, we have about 480 existing translations in up to 20 languages. So because we need help, because external help, ideally also from volunteers, we put out a call for help if somebody wants to join us in bringing the rebuttal translations into the current version as well. And we have resources into myth debunking of how that can be done. And one of the concepts is the Flick taxonomy of the techniques that are behind science denial. It is a framework that was originally proposed by Mark Hufnagel in 2007. And John Cook refined it. He came up with an abbreviation for the main five techniques: fake experts, logical fallacies, impossible expectations, cherry picking and conspiracy theories, which is all stuff that you can identify in misinformation about climate change, but also other science topics. And John Cook also expanded the taxonomy so that it's now about 36, I think, that we have in the full list. And FLIC became the underlying framework for our MOOC, Denial 101X. FLIC is also available as a poster, which was created in collaboration with our German language partner website, klimafakten.de. So the first version was in German, but it was immediately followed by English, and more translations are available. They can be downloaded for free from the website. And the last 3 languages are about to go live in the next couple of days. John Cook, founder of Skeptical Science, has been involved over the years with writing several very helpful handbooks. So one of them is the Conspiracy Theory Handbook he wrote together with Stephen Lewandowski. And in the handbook, the popularity of conspiracy theories is explained. It provides guidance on identifying the traits of conspiratorial thinking, for which, obviously, because everybody always needs an abbreviation, there's one here as well, conspire, but that only works in English. We weren't able to come up with good abbreviations in other languages. And this handbook is available in 18 translations as well. And more in the works. The Debunking Handbook is a bit of a consensus document written by 19 co-authors who are all researchers into debunking, pre-bunking, inoculation, to get a better handle on how to combat misinformation in all its forms. And misinformation, as you know, has the tendency to persist because it's easy to remember. So it needs to be debunked frequently and also effectively. And this handbook provides guidance on how to properly debunk if it cannot be pre-bunked. And it's also available in 18 languages apart from English. Yeah, and then there's the cranky uncle game. John Cook is now not just a cognitive scientist, but he's always also been a cartoonist. And with the cranky uncle character, he brings together his cartooning with his research into misinformation. And the culmination, if you will, of that is the cranky uncle game. It's a critical thinking game, and it builds resilience against climate misinformation. Players gain understanding by assuming the role of a cranky uncle, and cranky uncle also becomes the mentor. So he teaches players how he denies science and teaches the FLIC techniques. And players practice the denial spotting with earning cranky points when they answer quizzes properly. And as they advance through the cranky levels, their mood becomes increasingly crankier, just like cranky uncles. And it's available for iPhone, Android, and the browser. And while John was prototyping the game, he noticed that teachers were very keen to try it and to use it in classes. So he wrote the Teacher's Guide to Cranky Uncle, and that provides scientific background information about the game and also has suggestions for classroom activities. We do have a few translations, but more in the works. The game itself, as I already mentioned, has already been translated into 8 languages since being launched in 2021. And we are about to launch 2 more. And another one, a couple of other ones are in the pipeline as well at various stages. Skeptical Science is also involved in some other projects. I already mentioned our consensus study that was published 10 years ago. And for that, our team examined over 12,000 peer-reviewed abstracts to see whether the authors or the papers go along with the statement that current global warming is mostly caused by humans. It generated significant attention and also obviously attacks, because some people don't really like the consensus message and what a scientific consensus is. But regardless of that, the paper got awards like Best Article of 2013 from Environmental Research Letters. And there's a lot of information about the 97% consensus on skeptical science. I already mentioned the MOOC. It's currently running. We are happy if somebody joins. And our team provides assistance and moderation in the MOOC's online discussion forum, for example. And there are 60 lectures and a lot of expert interviews going into the basics of climate science and why and how these are still denied by some. The computer-assisted recognition of denial and skepticism, or C.A.R.D.S project, is a evolving activity that John Cook kicked off a couple of years ago, when our team, together with political scientists and machine learning experts, did some machine learning or training for the machine. And this is now more and more getting used and refined to detect climate misinformation in real time, when it happens and where it happens. And just briefly, some other resources. Skeptical Science also publishes a blog post per day, not quite, but almost, with some ongoing series, which might be of interest for some of you, like the new research, which gets published each Thursday, summarizing and listing climate papers that have been published in the previous week. We do have a lot of graphics resources which come with a Creative Commons license, so you are free to use them in your own materials. There are also some animations available and some tools that were created over the years, some in connection with the Denial 101X MOOC, like the temperature tool, and also for our internal use, the Climate Science Glossary, which provides at the tip of a finger, basically, definitions for scientific terms, but also the references for scientific papers. As I briefly mentioned, Skeptical Science is recognized as a go-to resource. So in 2011, we got the Eureka Prize from the Australian Museum. I already mentioned the Friend of the Planet Award, and a lot of climate scientists send people our way if some climate misinformation needs to be debunked. And we do have some challenges. Some I already mentioned, time constraints, because our team is mostly volunteer-based. And we also are a target for various forms of attacks, mostly ad hominem, and also some conspiracy theories, some quite funny, of how we must be funded and things like that. And in 2012, the website was hacked badly, when basically everything was dumped and our internal forum was published online. And some people that didn't shy away to quote mine, obviously from that forum content as well. So we do provide a lot of resources, but we can always also need help, like translation projects, and also with ongoing rebuttal updates, even if it's just reviewing the content, perhaps summarizing scientific articles in blog posts, or creating new rebuttals to counter solution denial where we don't yet have a lot of content. So if you are interested, there's our link to the contact form, or you just can touch base with me. So thanks for your interest. and happy for any questions you might have.